Welcome to the third episode of the Pregame Pint. We are live here at Against the Grain Brewery in Louisville, Kentucky. Right behind us, of course, is Louisville Slugger Field, where at 7:30 p.m., Louisville City FC will take on the Tulsa Roughnecks, the team's first Western Conference opponent. Joining me right now is Steve Peake. Steve, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me again.
We're going to preview today's matchup against Tulsa. We might even catch one of the Tulsa coaches on their way through here. I heard they might stop in for a beer, maybe.
Yes, I think that was not what they said.
Maybe the donut holes. I don't know. We'll see if they come through. We're going to talk a little bit with Timothy Clark, who's back here waiting. We're going to talk about the new drums the Coopers have. We're going to talk about the new pregame ritual, starting with the March to the Match. We're even going to bring in Josh Beeman from Sacramento, host of Beeman's Republic. He's going to talk a little bit about the Western Conference and how Sacramento is doing, of course, defending champions. We're also going to bring in Adam from Against the Grain Brewery, who's going to talk a little bit about beer, because we got to put the pint in the pregame pint.
Right.
All right, so starting off, Louisville City comes into this game off of last Sunday's 1-1 draw at Pittsburgh. Of course, that's the third 1-1 draw in a row. I feel like the players might be getting tired of that scoreline, but what happened in that game?
Well, this one, obviously, you're left with a different feeling than maybe the previous two, where you had a 1-0 lead at the half and felt like you left a couple of chances. Richmond, definitely, there were a few balls played across the front of the goal that you thought you could have finished, and especially we were here for Rochester and had the 1-0 lead and let up a goal in the second half. This game, after being down 1-0 from the 36th minute on, it felt like this was going to be the first loss of the season. And credit to the guys for not giving up, especially Matt Fondy gets the PK block, did everything right.
It was an incredible block. That block, he got there, and then the second shot was a laser that he put right back on target. Another block.
Yeah, the first one I wasn't. It wasn't I guess as amazing of a save as you might see on a PK. Matt did what you're supposed to do. Put it on target. Made him have to make a save. The follow up though, I thought for sure Matt was going to finish. And just credit to the Pittsburgh goalkeeper for making a good save. So at that point, I think a lot of fans, you could see the reaction on Twitter and some of the reaction around people who were watching with that thought that was it. That was the chance.
He guessed right. I mean, he got to the PK. That reaction save, because I was surprised even Fondy put a laser back on target.
Yeah.
I mean, left-footed, just took it out of the air and drilled it, and he just got his hand up there.
Yeah,
it was a great save. Now, what the broadcasters pointed out the whole time was that was the first time Louisville City has trailed. So the guys, for the first time this season, obviously, it's their inaugural season. They're all coming together for the first time. They faced adversity, and they were able to actually come out and bring it back and save a point on the road there at the end. What was that like for the team to struggle through it and to finally put that away and draw level and save a point?
Well, you could tell from talking with Coach O'Connor after the game that it was definitely a different energy. You talked about a 1-1 draw for the first or 3 games in a row, and this was definitely a different energy in the locker room. This was a game that they had essentially lost this one. I mean, you're 90-plus minutes in, and for Kadeem to really rescue us there with one of the best goals you're going to see all season. It was quite incredible. And he's not left-footed, for those who don't know. He's right-footed, and he took it with his left and curled it in past the keeper. Just a superb goal. There was definitely a little bit of energy in the locker room. I think that this team knows, and everybody who's been observing this team like you have, that this team has so much talent, and it's just going to take a little bit to get that chemistry and get that going. So if you're able to steal a point like that, like you were on Sunday, you know how big that can be going in through the rest of the season. You've played Louisville City has played, I guess, three teams in the top 5. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
So 3 teams in the top 5 of the Eastern Conference, and you've taken a point with all of them. So, and this was with playing against teams that have guys that have played together for a couple of years.
A new team coming together, finding that rhythm. What I talked about with Coach O'Connor at practice this week was that the team has had a lot of chances that they're just not putting away for whatever reason. He said, one of the best things he said to me on Thursday was he said, one of these games we're going to give somebody a really good game. They're going to be shell-shocked. And, what do you think he's been looking for out of his players to really try and put those away, to say, like, look, just keep on shooting, keep on firing?
Yeah, I think you can look at some of the players and see, and I think he mentioned when he talked with you that when you're talking about finishing, a lot of people think strikers. I'm not just talking about strikers. I'm talking about everybody. And there's a guy on the team that I spoke highly of because I've seen him play. I saw him play when he's at Chattanooga, Niall McCabe, who I think has the potential to score a lot of goals. He did it in Chattanooga. He was one of the best players on the team that went to the NPSL championship. And if you all saw the first I guess it was in the third, fourth minute, somewhere way early in the game, he goes one-on-one with the keeper and gets it blocked twice. So those are times when you're just like, okay, you're just not clicking yet, and just sometimes it's just a little bit unlucky. And then when those goals start going in, then you're talking about not one goal, but 2, 3, 4 goals, and start like Coach said, maybe shell shock somebody, give a 5 spot on them. And this team has the potential to do that. It's just a matter of time. I don't think it's a matter of if, it's a matter of when with this team.
So today, Tulsa Roughnecks comes into town. First Western Conference opponent. We're going to play them twice.
That's right. Yeah, we'll have to make the return trip to Tulsa. It's later on in the season.
And then Louisville City will also take on the Oklahoma City Energy. But looking for Tulsa, they're coming off a 4-3 win over the Western Conference's top team, the Seattle Sounders, 2. What do we look for out of this team that obviously was able to put some points on the board against a very good team? I
know Coach talked to you about this, about the height that this team has, and we talked to Scott Goodwin how much that can play a difference on crosses and on corner kicks, and of course that will make a difference. I think this is the same. Tulsa's going through the same kind of growing pains that Louisville City is going through with it being a new team, trying to gel, trying to get that chemistry going. And they played a couple games early in the season where they didn't score. So I think it's something that Louisville City can hang their hat on, that, hey, despite all of that, despite having, again, that chemistry, we've been able to score in every game. But, Tulsa did make up for it with 4 goals against Seattle, and really a brilliant performance. And, it is a little bit, I guess you can say it's a little bit scary going into this game, thinking maybe this is when Tulsa they're starting to get into form a little bit.
Well, it's certainly something we're going to be looking for out of both teams to see what they can do out on the field. It's obviously going to be a little bit wet out there. It's been raining nonstop this morning. There is a possibility of more rain, possibly some thunderstorms later on.
It's not going to rain. It's going to be 70 and sunshine, I hear. That's the rumor.
Meteorologist Steve Peake coming to you live with a weather report. It's going to be a beautiful day for soccer. Obviously, sometimes, the rainy conditions really, really open up the game a little bit. There's mistakes happen, chances happen.
At the slim chance that it does rain. The slim chance that it happens.
Slim chance.
Then yes, that could definitely play a part.
So what we need to go over next is Guy Abend obviously is out for a little bit. What's his status?
I think we talked last week a little bit about Guy, and talked about how he's definitely a difference maker out there. I think there's a difference, and I think you're going to see Coach maybe play with that lineup a little bit, maybe try to move some guys around to where what Guy was able to do in the midfield, and able to push Magnus up to more of an attacking midfielder. And that freed up space for Matt Fondy to stay in that center position as a center forward. You notice a lot of times in the last game, he's having to go out wide. He's sending in crosses. And
he's all over the place.
Matt's your goal scorer. You got to keep him in position around the goal. So you might see Coach tweak that a little bit, try to find somebody to fill that position until Guy's able to come back. We did get some good news as he did have surgery last week, and got some good news about that he won't be out nearly as long as was I guess expected. Could have been a lot
That's
worse.
Excellent to hear. Yeah.
Yeah, and so we're hoping to have him back soon. And when we do, I think you'll see again. He is a game changer. But right now, you're trying to find somebody who can fill that role. And there's plenty of talent. Like I said, there's not that much of a drop off. But it's just you got guys that the coach looks for that plays a specific role on the team. So finding somebody to take that spot, we'll find out in the next couple of days how that works.
Okay. So what we want to talk about last before we let you go is Phil Rollins, owner of Orlando City Soccer Club. He's been very close with Wayne Estopanol, helped him bring the franchise here, sort of guided him through building the franchise. He came out to the game against Rochester at Louisville Slugger Field. What was his experience like? Did he talk about what he saw in the team? Or?
So, yeah, he was there after the game and had a chance to talk with some of the fans and everything. That was really cool. I mean, he is a very personable guy. This is, a guy who's brought Orlando City from Austin, made it very successful in Orlando in USL Pro, as it was called at the time, and then made that jump to MLS. 60,000, 65,000 on opening day. I mean, he is the president of a team that is setting the standard for Major League Soccer and soccer in America, and at least on the East Coast, right? Seattle's obviously been doing this for a couple of years, but I mean, it's amazing, and he's a very nice guy, and of course very complimentary of what we're doing here. And he even said, no, this is a Thursday night crowd, and thunderstorms from the forecast. To get close to 5,000, is just unheard of. Especially when you talked about he's brought that team from Austin. That they weren't getting those kind of crowds on the perfect day against the perfect opponent in a perfect season. So he was very complimentary and nothing but good thing to say about Phil. I mean, what he's been able to do in his time in Orlando, and even before that, being a part of Stoke City. I mean,
and he was blown away when he came up here, a year ago, back in January of 2014, to the meeting with the Coopers. He came out, he said, "This is huge." And then when he came out to the announcement of the team coming to Louisville, he said, "I'm blown away. I'm more confident now that I see all these people in this room that this is going to work." He was very complimentary. He's been very supportive of Wayne, the whole organization. So, we'd love to have him back, obviously. Now, also, we've got a 5-match package alternative to the season tickets that I know you guys have been pushing a little bit. What's that offer people?
Well, I think there's a lot of people who, for pro soccer and for this league and for this team and everything, it was so abstract going in that they might have said, I don't know if I want to spend the money on season tickets. So this gives them the opportunity to, now that they know a little bit what it's about, they've seen this stuff on the news, they've seen it through our page, they've heard about it from friends. And this gives them that good alternative, much cheaper. And that way, if you plan on going to 5 games this season, you'll see there's 5 designated games for this, and they're highlighted with some really good games. I think the St. Louis game is a part of that. The rematches, the home rematch with St. Louis, of course, we'll play them. They're the only team we're going to play more than 3 times, play them 4 times. So that May 30th rematch is on there.
The end of the season,
absolutely, it will be.
And the July 4th match is on there, right?
The July 4th match against Richmond's on there. So there's some really, and that's good. I mean, that game, if you're ready for a fierce game, I think that's the one that you're going to be looking at. That's an on-field rivalry, and not so much with the fans, but definitely on the field. There's a couple good games on there. So if that's the package you're looking for, it's a little bit cheaper. It is cheaper than coming here and getting single games every time. So something that you're interested in, you go to LouisvilleCityFC.com and check that out.
Okay. All right. Well, Steve, thank you so much for joining us today. Good luck this evening. Obviously, hopefully the rain stay away for you.
Yeah. It's all sunshine is what I'm seeing out there. So
we'll just
don't look outside. Don't look outside your window.
If you're in Louisville, it's a bit rainy. But yeah, Steve is going to dig into the donuts, which were delivered at some point.
Explain this real quick.
Against the Grain has some donuts. So they actually, I was told this morning, they get them from High Five Donuts, and I love donuts, so I had to order some. I obviously didn't expect them to drop them off in the middle of the show.
They look
right here in front of the I had to stare at them.
attention.
So try one. Let's talk about how it is. While you're doing that, I'm going to bring in Josh Beeman from Sacramento. We should have Josh Beeman momentarily. How are the donuts? He loves it. He doesn't even want to talk anymore. Okay, Josh, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yes, but I don't have donuts, and it is actually sunny outside.
It is sunny in California. Go figure. So, Josh, thank you for coming on the show. It was obviously raining last night at Bonnie Field when Sacramento took on the Orange County Blues, and I know you guys lost. What happened there?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I want to. In the first half, the Republic looked good, at least right at the very beginning, but they kind of seemed to drop off a little bit towards the end, and the Blues scored really late in the first half, and then it kind of coincided a little bit with Mickey Daly coming off in the first half, a defender. Center back who's been with the Republic since they started and who's been an anchor in the back line for his entire time here. So he got taken off, looked like with an injury. We don't know what the injury is yet. And then the Blues scored pretty late. And then right in the second half, they scored within the safe estimate
45 seconds.
Within 5 minutes, but it was like probably 30, 45 seconds. So that was a bit of a shock, and they held on even going down to 10 men.
And there was a red card late.
That second half.
There was a red card late against Orange County. So Orange County played with 10 men for about how long?
I want to say about 30 minutes at least. And it's actually like it was a really bad challenge, and we're lucky that that nobody got injured off of it. But it was it's still. To me, being able to defend that 2-1 lead, even after going down to 10 men, it kind of shows that these OC Blues are different than they've been in the past. In the past, it's not too big of a stretch to say that they've kind of been the worst team in the Western Conference. Well, there hasn't really been a Western Conference, but worst team in the West. Kind of been, almost a guaranteed 3 points, guaranteed 1 point at least. But Coach Oliver Weiss has done a really good job with them. I actually talked with him on my show before then. But yeah, he's done a really good job, and they're for real this year, I guess, is what I'm saying.
And of course, you just mentioned you are the host of Beeman's Republic, a show centered around Sacramento Republic. You host that on KSSU. You can also find that afterwards on recklesschallenge.net. So you cover a lot about the Western Conference, and especially for us, we want you to tell us a little bit about the Western Conference. As you know, Tulsa is visiting Louisville today. That's one of only 2 teams Louisville City will see in the Western Conference, but Seattle Sounders, too, are currently sitting top of the Western Conference. You know, what is that going on? I mean, they obviously put in a dominant performance against Sacramento Republic to start the season. What else have they done to be successful so far?
Well, I mean, they've done very well, especially offensively. But they've also lost every single game that they've had away from home. So they've done really well at home, haven't necessarily done as well away from home. They played Tulsa actually for their first away match, and they lost 4-3. So I mean, maybe on another team on another day, scoring 3 goals is generally enough to win. But and then they lost 2-1 against OKC in their road game after that. So they're doing well, especially at home, and they're really real offensive powerhouse, it seems. But it seems like their defense is pretty weak. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Sacramento at this point, actually. But so I mean, yes, they are. They are on top for now. I'm not exactly sure how long they'll stay there because of the road game difficulties.
Okay, now obviously with Sacramento Republic, we've seen a good player in Justin Braun. I was watching a little bit last night on the USL broadcast that he has really come with Peake, and Peake has helped build him back up after his unsuccessful spells in, I believe, Toronto. But he had played for Chivas. What's that been like to see him, build back up with Peke's system?
Oh, it's been fantastic. I think Preki and Justin work well together, and something that I'm also a little bit guilty of, but something that some of the fans out here, because of his injuries last year, he wasn't on the field as much as many would have liked, I think, and because of how he works in Preki's system, he isn't always the top goal scorer. He actually he helps other people score more than he scores himself. Maybe not with assists, but with creating space or making the pass that allows somebody else to make the final pass. And because of that, some fans they recognize that he's a really good player, but they get frustrated with maybe a lack of production. But I think a lot of people, with him being healthy more and more this season, more people have been noticing how much he does for the team. He really does a lot in opening space for Rodrigo Lopez, Max Alvarez, David Estrada, all those other guys. So I mean, it's to me, it really seems like for him, this was always Sacramento Republic was always kind of about getting back on form for a trip back to MLS, and I think it's still really what he's all about with this. But I think he's found a good situation here and a good situation in playing with Preki that will help him move back up to MLS maybe, because he definitely, I think, deserves to be there.
Now, you mentioned Roro Lopez. Obviously, you and I are going to be about a week late discussing this. Steve and I discussed it on the last pint, but that wonder strike from about midfield. I mean, were you there for that? Did you think about that?
No, I wasn't.
Oh no,
I wasn't there for that. I have because you mentioned I host the show on KSSU. It's my college radio station, so I have classes. I have the worst class of my life that I've ever taken on Wednesday nights, so I can't go to any Republic games on Wednesday nights. And Roro just happened to choose that game to do that. So
it was a heck of a strike.
Yeah, I was in class watching it, and I had to stop myself from yelling. But it was absolutely fantastic. I mean, I remember reading, I guess, the post-match interviews with him, and he was saying apparently he was just talking to Justin Braun in the locker room at halftime. Said it's really windy, because it really was. It was very windy that day, and they were going with the wind in that half. So he decided that if he saw the goalkeeper cheating, he was going to try and chip him from that far, and he did, and it was absolutely fantastic.
It was. Okay, so now before we let you go, we want to talk a little bit about the rest of the Western Conference. What should we look for out of the Western Conference this season? You know, who should we be watching to move up the table?
Well, somebody that you should be watching, I think. I have two teams in mind right now. The first is Arizona United. I've talked to some people that aren't quite convinced that they're going to be a really, really good team. I think I predicted them to be second in the West by the end of the season. Some people aren't all that convinced, but they have the makings of doing that. I mean, they've signed some really good players, including some former Orlando City players, and they just if there was a prize for the offseason, they would have won the offseason. They've done a really good job out there. It's their first full offseason, and they have a really good front office. So there's that. And I think another team that people should be watching out for is OKC Energy, because they're also very, very good. They're actually, I think, with Arizona losing to OC Blues a little while ago, they're the only undefeated team left in the Western Conference.
Okay.
They've only played, I think they've only played like 3 or 4 games, so that's not a huge sample size, but they still have showed really well, and they have oh geez, I forget the guy's name off the top of my head right now. But they have a, I think in the fan poll that USL took, they have the runner-up for the fan voted like favorite for the Golden Boot.
Okay.
So I think they're another team to watch in the West.
Okay. Well, Josh, thank you so much for joining us. Obviously, you can check out Josh, his show Beeman's Republic. It's on KSSU, but you can catch it also on recklesschallenge.net during the week after that show. Josh, thank you so much for joining us. We will see you next week.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Thanks, man.
Bye-bye.
Now, of course, we want to bring in Timothy Clark. Let me see if I can get his attention. He has started the pint part of the pregame pint. Timothy, are you ready? All right. We'll see if he'll bring over his pint. We're going to have him come in. He's going to preview a little bit about what the Coopers are going to be doing today, what they're going to do the rest of the season. Timothy, welcome back to the pregame pint.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. Would you like a donut? I know Steve got them started. Would you like
Momentarily.
Okay, we'll come back to that. So what I want to talk about first is these pictures of these bourbon barrel drums I saw on Twitter.
I would love to have wheeled them out. They're a little heavy. We're going to wheel them out for the game.
Okay.
We have 2 bourbon barrel drums that were kindly given to us by Adam and Against the Grain Brewery.
That's so nice.
And very nice. These bourbon barrels have been used before. It smelled wonderful once we actually cracked them open. It was like a bourbon potpourri. It was beautiful.
When you hit them, did they like emit a bourbon smell?
I wish. We're working on that, I guess. We could maybe put like a tea pouch in there. Maybe it just sprays out. Something for the future. And then Danny at Doo-Wop Shop, the advertising gentleman, he supplied us with all the gear we needed, the drum heads, the lugs, the drumsticks and everything. We got to play 2 of them last game. They sounded great. You can hear them from the left field and the right field. So it's very encompassing. Ideally, we'd like 4, 1 for each of our sections. That way the capos would be able to have something to stand behind. They'd have that sound to go off of. The hard part is getting the folks to kind of play together. That's the one thing. We've only been together at games twice now. So
still coming together, just like the team, still coming together.
Still coming together, but they're beautiful. I think we have to get them on next time. You'll need to see these things in,
I
in
know.
all
I was
their
hoping
glory.
we could get them, but yeah, we got the mini marathon going on today for the Kentucky Derby Festival. I had to fight my way through traffic.
No, you ran here, remember?
You ran here. That's right. I ran here. I actually
we all ran here, completed.
I took off my number. It's fine.
You dress up very well.
Oh, thank you. I know.
Unless
this
you
is
ran
what
in
I
that.
ran in. Yeah, it's actually a little sweaty, but thankfully, people can't see it. You can't
smell it. No.
Yeah, I just hit the drums a couple times, and the bourbon smell got all over me. I'm hoping to just eat a bunch of donuts next, and then I'll just smell like that. So, okay. So what I want to talk about next is the crowds at the games.
Yes.
Coach O'Connor obviously has been very complimentary of the atmosphere, lots of people. Phil Rollins pointed out great attendance. We talked about that with Steve. He said Thursday night against Rochester, it was a Thursday night game. It was raining. It was thunderstorming.
Yes.
And there was 4,700 people there.
Correct.
Right, which puts the average at about 5,700?
A little less than that. I want to say it's about 5,400 right now. It is raining again today, so we'll probably expect about the same amount. It is a Saturday game. After the mini marathon, we might lose some folks who are season ticket holders who ran the marathon today. But I would expect at least another 47 to 5,000 today. It's a night game, so hopefully the rain will hold off. If it rains today, it'll probably make the pitch a little slicker. But
our boys have been training in the rain all week, I'm sure, as has Tulsa. With Phil,
now, is that the team or is that the Coopers? Have the Coopers been training in the rain?
We haven't. We probably should have, actually. Bring your ponchos. I guess that's a good point to make.
Yeah, bring your rain jackets.
Yeah. But you made a point of saying Phil Rollins was here. Phil Rollins is the owner, or one of the owners of Orlando City, our affiliate club, and he came here about a year and a half ago to see us, and he came again this last game on Thursday to just survey everything to see how we're doing. He was very pleased with everything. We have some work to do, but he was very pleased. That was the one takeaway. It's amazing that he made the trip up here. I wouldn't expect that to be something that he does often, but it was very nice for him to be here just to see how things have blossomed.
Did you guys get to talk with him at all after the game?
I didn't. A contingency of the Coopers did, and I know that he made his way to some of the owners, and I know he talked with them afterwards. He may have talked to the Spanish newspaper. I know that they ran a small piece on him as well, Al Dia in America. But overall, it was a really good show that Thursday night. Yeah, I'm hoping today is the same.
Okay. Now, what do you guys take away from the first two games? Obviously, now it's a reality. We talked last time before the St. Louis. It's like, oh, wow, it's here. You've got teams. You've got supporters. What are you thinking now that you've seen the team in action twice? You've been out there together. You've seen Slugger Field with the soccer field. What's it like now that we've seen it happen? It's underway.
I would say first and foremost, it is, like you said earlier, a work in progress. The first two games gave us a baseline to work from, the kind of chants that we want to sing. We've simplified some things a little bit. We're going to work on that and then move towards the harder stuff. We want everyone to be able to at least sing and chant maybe 5 or 6 songs. That would be ideal. The drums were added, so now we have a musical accompaniment to that. Overall, the fan base has been amazing. If you see the stream, the fans and the crowd, they're standing the entire time in our section. Most of the first baseline is filled out, especially from the first game. The second game was a little bare again due to the rain. I wouldn't say Louisville fans are fair weather fans. When they get behind something, they come out in droves. If you've ever been to a U of L football game, when it rains, they're there. It's just about teaching the rest of the city that this thing exists. We're only 2 home games in. This will be our 3rd home game today. And again, we're still trying to tell everybody in the city about it. I'd say one of the harder parts thus far is getting to work with the stadium officials to make sure they have everything for game day. We have sold them out of beer twice now. Wow. Merchandise was sold out right away. So we have a lot of buying power with which to work with. We just have to let the stadium know, the beer vendors, the food vendors, that we're going to be here. And again, that was only on a Thursday night where 4,700 showed up. I can't imagine what we're going to do at 8,000, 9,000 people when they finally show up. Yeah.
Now, part of what's going on is we've got a new March to the Match ritual.
Correct.
And everything. Did you participate in that last time?
I did not participate in that one last time. What we're doing now is marching from Washington Street, which the bars, if you're from Louisville, you'll recognize that the Troll Pub, Sidebar, and O'Shea's are all on Washington Street. And they have blocked off Washington Street on the back side so that we can gather there and then march forward. And what we do is we march down Washington, we march around the front of Main Street here, and we walk around the locker room so that the players can hear us. They can get a sense of the people that are coming to the game. We'll march around Slugger, back on the Witherspoon side, up into the stadium, and kind of do like a big question mark almost, the way it's laid out. But if you're in parking lots, you hear us coming, it gives you a chance to finish your beer off, finish your food, jump into the march, and then come in. I would say the first march was large. The second march was larger. Again, people have an idea of where we're going.
And it's only going to be more fun in the rain.
Exactly.
If it rains. I know Steve said it's not going to rain, but if it does.
I believe Steve. I don't know if he's a meteorologist, but I believe what he says.
He told me he was. I couldn't fact check it on the spot, so I don't know.
You have to believe him.
To be determined. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is there anything special planned for tonight, like a rain dance tifo or anything? Or
no tifo this evening. We were worried about the rain. We are actually planning on tifo ideas for the the next game against St. Louis. So actually, if people are interested, do get in contact with the Coopers. We would love to have you all out to paint the next tifo. We do need ideas. That, again, will be the 3rd game of the King's Cup. We go away to St. Louis on May 24th, which actually you bring up a good point. We are chartering a bus to St. Louis on May the 24th.
Yes.
So anyone who is interested, who's seeing this and wants to come, stop by the game, stop by ATG tonight after the game, and we will take your reservation. We have, I believe, 48 spots open on the bus. If more people show up, we would gladly get a second bus. Yeah. Absolutely.
Is there somewhere online people can find that information?
Absolutely.
Should go to Facebook or go to
both. Go to Facebook. You can tweet us at Lou Coopers on Twitter. You can go to our webpage, www.louisvillecoopers.com. There should be some information there. I would say the Facebook page would probably be the easiest, as that's where we've been setting up the most information at this time. But again, if you just want to find one of us in the stands, if you guys are familiar with our board and our members, we'd be happy to point you in the right direction. But that's something we're really looking forward towards is the away game and then the TIFO, the next big TIFO as well. Because that's how you really set up your character, who you are, and identify as a Cooper. You create this thing together as a community. You show it off to the community that is at the ballpark, well, at our ballpark, Slugger. People remember that stuff. They come out and they want to see what the next one's going to be. You're building up kind of a mystery, if you will.
I will. Would you like a donut? Will you?
I will.
All right, so we gotta get Timothy in on the donut. We're gonna bring in Adam Watson from Against the Grain. Grab it. There's a bourbon cream in there too that you gotta try. I know. Hey, Adam, you ready? All right, so we're gonna talk a little bit about this. Timothy, thank you for joining us. How are the donuts? Are they good?
They are delicious. Thank you, Adam, for the donuts. Thank you for the donuts. Go City.
All right, we'll find out more about that. Adam. Come on, Adam, welcome to the Pregame Pint. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
This is Adam, one of the owners of Against the Grain.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, so these donuts that I'm looking at that people can't see, let's tell us about these little delights.
These little delights are a work we've done with High Five Donuts.
Would you like one?
I'm good. I've had some.
Okay. I'll try it while you talk.
We get the batter from them and we fry them here, and the custard is made using our beer and their sugars. We kind of put our flavors together. It turns out it works. They're incredibly delicious. You should eat all of them.
I feel almost like I'm on that Saturday Night Live skit with Alec Baldwin, where they're doing the NPR spoof and they're eating the balls. Yeah, but they're donuts.
Yeah, tell me about my balls. Do you enjoy my balls?
They're delicious.
Yeah. Good.
So what I want to talk about next is obviously you've had a special pint, the ball control.
Yep.
Which I don't know much about beer, so tell me a little bit about what goes into that. That is special for the Louisville City games for the Coopers to drink beforehand.
Yeah. We've kind of been in conversations with the Coopers for quite a while about ways that we can collaborate with them. And one of the good ways that we came across was formulating a beer that would be on during all Louisville City games. So the beer that we came up with is called Ball Control. It is kind of the basis of it is an American IPA or American Pale Ale.
Okay.
It's a relatively low strength, just around 6%, which is higher than your domestic Bud Miller Coors kind of things. But as far as craft beer goes, not all that huge. So it's meant for session drinking. You can have a bunch of them on game day and not be completely shit-faced. But the basis is a pale ale using a lot of American hops with some cool Kentucky twists at the end. We add a decent dose of sorghum to make it distinctly Kentucky. I think the flavors come across really well. It's nice and clean. You get those cool crisps, kind of citrusy flavors out of the hops. And the sorghum adds just a nice little clean spice on the end.
Now, you did a special promotion for the Rochester game that Thursday. 50 cents from each ball control pint was donated to the Rovers Youth Academy?
The Rovers Foundation.
Yes.
Yeah, and that was true for that game as well as all the other weekday games.
Okay.
All of the Louisville City weekday games, we will be donating 50 cents from the sale of every pint of ball control to the Rover Foundation, which is the Coopers affiliated charity, and they essentially pay for underprivileged but talented youth to be able to get out there and travel and compete at higher levels of soccer.
Okay. All right. Well, Adam Watson from Against the Grain, thank you so much for joining us. That's all for the pregame pint. We'll see you next time. Obviously, the game tonight, Tulsa Roughnecks playing here at Louisville Slugger Field against Louisville City Football Club. That will be at 7:30 p.m. You can be here, or you can check it out on YouTube for USL's channel. You can find that at uslsoccer.com or LouisvilleCityFC.com. That's all for us. Thanks.